Welcome everyone, and we are live now. And I'm very excited because it's a very big day for me because we will talk about PMI and Agile Alliance collaboration. I know lots of people have lots of questions, and I noted all of them. Now it's time to take answer from the leader of PMI and also Agile Alliance. So I'm very excited. So because of this, I don't want to waste your time. So because of this, I want to invite my guest. Our first guest will be President and CEO of PMI, Pierre. And welcome, Pierre.
Hello, how are
And
you?
I'm fine, and you?
Good, excellent. Thank you.
I'm very excited, and I have lots of questions to you and also your team. So, ready for these challenging questions?
Of course, always.
Okay, I know
I'm
you are
just back
always
from
ready.
Dubai. I'm just back from Dubai, so you catch me with a little bit of a jet lag. I came back last night late, but I think I'll be fine.
I think you will always find because I know your energy, so it will help us to clarify this collaboration. So I will invite the other guest. So our second guest will be Lenka. So let me introduce her.
Hi,
Yes, welcome, Lenka.
I love the sparkly thing around our profiles. It's it's very nice.
That's good. So I think you are ready for questions to write. So
Yeah, always ready.
I have some questions about discipline agile because some people start talking about this topic. So you need to be ready for this type of questions. Okay, so our last guest is Brian, and I am inviting Brian too. Yes, welcome, Brian.
Hi, thank you, and
So,
hi everyone.
Hello,
hi
Brian.
again. So your questions won't be about always agile. So some questions will be about project management too. You are ready for the questions, Brian?
Part of them, it sounds like, yes.
No,
Yes.
not out of them. I know you will answer very great. So let's start with the first question, and I will start with you, Pierre. But we have limited time because of this. Before to start this session, I'm expecting something from you and from our attendees. My first expectation, the questions will be, I think, some of them simple, some of them extreme, but you have 4 or 5 minutes or 3 minutes for each question to answer that. And the second information for our audience, and you can ask your questions, and when I complete some basics questions, I will come to your questions, our audience. So my first question is to you, Pierre. So sometimes I don't want to talk about this topic. I know you don't like to, but sometimes when we talk about project management, they are putting traditionally into this, in front of this. So when we talk about this collaboration, how will PMI ensure that the integration of Agile Alliance leverage the unique strengths while maintaining PMI's established reputation in traditional project management?
Yeah, there is no such thing as traditional project management. In reality, it is a narrative that has been constructed to maybe 20, 30 years ago, come up with some transformations and change in how software development at the time was managed. Um, since then, of course, the project profession, so all the people working on project work, have evolved a lot, of course, and anything that is agile or agile methodologies, agile philosophy has been embraced for a long time by the project profession. And if you're probably not all familiar with that, but if you go to the PMI website, you see our content. A lot of space is given to agile and agility already, and it's been the case for a long time. of course, a lot in IT and tech, but even progressively, this has permeated other areas of project management. Even when you have a $1 billion or $10 billion project in infrastructure, some principle of agility and some methods can be used, not just for the software part of it, because any project has some software component, of course, but even more broadly. So if you don't mind, I will at one point, because you only gave me 3 minutes, so I don't have the time to explain why we made this acquisition, this integration of Agile Alliance, but it would be very, and other acquisitions that we've made, would be useful for me to go through that and take you through the rationale we have behind that. I want to make sure you understand that we will make the best of the Agile Alliance content in all the PMI content. Remember that a lot of PMI content in Agile has been already developed with Agile Alliance, right? We have this Agile practice guide, and a lot of our Agile content comes from this collaboration that has existed for a long time before even the current integration with Agile Alliance. So we will make sure to make the best of that in our guides, standards, courses, the certifications we already have, our thought leadership, our events, PMI Infinity, which is our platform, our AI-based platform that helps people do their job. All the Agile Alliance content is already there, by the way, has been leveraged there since we launched that product about a year ago. But of course, we'll try to do even more than that. Now, on the other side, we want to leverage the PMI platform, not PMI Infinity, but platform as an organization with all its components that I can talk about as well, to make Agile Alliance more visible, more effective in its mission. We want the Agile principles and agility to be known even more broadly, way beyond software development. So we want this platform that we are in technology, marketing, events, community engagement, and even management to be leveraged by Agile Alliance to make it more visible and more successful, and make all of you, your community, more successful and more visible.
That's great. So what I'm understanding, it's not started now. Also, it already started before, as you said, and it integrated maybe the some parts, but now it's formally, and we are waiting good
We
things.
had a partnership in terms of content, and now we have structured something much more robust, much more solid, where Agile Alliance joins the broader community of project professionals that the PMI is fostering as we're broadening our perspective and vision on what is project work, what is the profession, and what is project success.
That is great. So I want to ask another question to Brian. So Brian, the question is coming to you. So Pierre said to us, yes, it started before and it's now PMI's border Agile plans. So when we look at the Agile Alliance perspective, so how will it maintain its void and community-driven approach? Because we have two community, so how it will be more effective?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that. Thanks for that question. The approach that we have is really not going to change. The Agile Alliance has been driven by our membership and our community since it was started 20 plus years ago. Since we are still our own independent corporation, we don't see that changing. We will continue to serve our members, serve our community, have our conference, maintain our content. The thing that we're really looking forward to, though, is the fact that PMI has a much larger reach than we do. And that will hopefully allow us to serve people around the world that we've been trying to reach for a very long time. But with the addition of the PMI platform, we'll hopefully have the ability to reach them much better than we have in the past.
That is great. So what I faced 5 minutes before, I got an email from Agile Alliance. So I think it still continue to market. So that doesn't mean when you start this collaboration, it's still continuing and it will, let's say, meet in next couple of maybe months of years. But two community is doing their job well now. This collaboration will be more, right? So it won't be one will stop, one will continue more, as I see it. So my third question is coming to you, Pierre, again. So Again, I think you did great job with PMOGA, and I know Americo in person, and he's very great guy. So you announced this, as I know, I was in that PMI Atlanta summit, so it was very exciting. So now, how does PMI manage these diverse integration with PMOGA we have, and it's focusing on PMO, and Agile Alliance focusing on Alliance, Agile, and now we have PMI project management. So how we will manage this and how PMI will handle with this process?
The broader picture here is that we're trying to broaden our perspective on what is project work, and of course we try to broaden our perspective on what means project success. So for that, as part of our strategy, which is called PMI Next, we have made a number of moves to welcome more specialized communities in our very big family. PMI has about 1.6 million people who are certified by us. We have 750,000 members. We cannot have members in China, so the people who are certified play more or less the role of members. But we want to have more specialized communities that are part of our larger family. So PMOGA, you made a good point with this acquisition. That was not a nonprofit. We made an acquisition last year. We acquired them. So we have that specialized community of PMOs or XMOs, transformation heads, people generally speaking, driving the way project management is organized in the various companies that they work for. We also acquired a company called Cognilytica to have an AI specialized community. Everybody is interested in AI, of course, but you have people who are really very much focused on managing AI transformation projects. That sub-community also operates within PMI now. And we'll have more going forward, right? Our concept is really to have those specialized communities within PMI. And that comes in addition to our chapters. Our chapters are a structure, but we want to foster and nurture a system where people who have the same interest for a specific area of how you transform the world, right? How you manage transformation and projects, that they self-organize to a large extent, right, when it comes to the initiatives that they want to promote. So we do not want to rule everything. We believe that our community will be much stronger if there is a lot of self-organization, volunteering, ideas, creativity that comes on its own. But of course, we need to ensure consistency in content. Now, between Agile Alliance and PMI, there won't be any problem because the content was already developed together to a large extent, and everything that PMI does takes into account our philosophy in Agile and agility that was developed in a cooperation with Agile Alliance already. So we won't have that problem. With the other ones, sometimes we have to do a little bit of adjustment. Of course, when you acquire a new community, some thinking is different. So we want to make sure that we ensure that consistency by having people working together and mechanisms to scale this that we still need to agree on in the case of Agile Alliance, but I don't think it's going to be any difficult.
Thanks a lot, Pierre. And now next question will come to you, Lenka. So to be honest, I'm fan of Discipline Agile. So when Discipline Agile joins the PMI family 2019, as I know. So what happened? We saw some new certifications in that area. So PMI, after this integration, DA portfolio integrated with PMI. So now we have Agile Alliance 2. So when we talk about Discipline Agile, with this Discipline Agile already part of the PMI's portfolio now, we know them, they integrated because it was 5 years ago. So we know the DA toolkit and it's updating. So how is this collaboration shape the future of, let's say, PMI, Discipline Agile, and Agile Alliance?
Thank you, Aaron. That's a great question. And I'm monitoring the chat. So also thanks for all the questions in the chat when you are trying to challenge us on the alignment of us, project management, Agile, Discipline Agile, etc. So I think first thing that is needed to be explained, and I'm sorry if I'm preaching to the choir because I know, Aaron, that you are from the Discipline Agile community and you are helping with that integration. So the first thing is that Discipline Agile is a way of working. It's not like a methodology framework. It's a set of different practices that help organizations to be successful with their transformations, program management, agile development, all of that. So it's a set of different practices. And your question was like, how is this integration of PMI and Agile Alliance going to influence discipline Agile? So I would say that I hope that it will help us to improve our set of practices, ways of working, better understanding between different communities, and overall help us all to understand these practices and their integration better. But when it comes to the question, like, is it going to influence any particular DA learnings, products? I would not say at this moment. I hope that, again, over time, as Pierre was saying, our contents will be improved, evolve, but not at the moment. We recently did a lot of work on integrating of the discipline Agile content in PMI ACP, that is our Agile certification, and this will keep evolving.
Thanks a lot, Lenka. So I think it will be very helpful in my perspective because DA has great community and they have good experts. And also this community will connect with Agile Alliance community. I think it will bring more value about agility. So because they were not competitors. So I think it will be very good. Next question will come to you, Pierre, again. And so as we discussed, PMI integrated with Discipline Agile 5 or 6 years ago. So you learned lots of things from this integration. So, and we know lessons learned is very important for project management. So when we talk about these lessons learned, what lessons has PMI learned from this Discipline Agile journey? So what you will do differently while, let's say, integrating with Agile Alliance?
I think it is totally different. DA, Discipline Agile, was not an organization like PMI, like PMI on one side and like Agile Alliance. There was no members. There was not that kind of organization. It was a small consulting boutique, based on content, of which some was actually great. Yes, there was a pretty significant community of experts following that. But as usual in such businesses, it completely relies on a couple of principles. Like we all know them, right? So they were the leaders of this Canadian firm originally. And then when you acquire a company like this, a small boutique consulting firm, only two outcomes are possible in my experience. And I was not the CEO at the time, so I can speak about that very freely without any in a very neutral and objective way. You only have two outcomes. Either the principals are happy and able to scale their business, or they leave. Whatever the reason is, they end up leaving. I've always seen that. So the latter happened, right? So they were either not happy or not able to scale, but they left. When I joined PMI, and that was in September 2022, so in August on vacation just before joining, I took DASM. I also took my CAPM, but I took DASM, so the entry course and the certificate of completion of the DA philosophy and methods. I read the Choose Your Wow, so the Choose Your Way of Working book. And then what I tried to focus on since then is, on one side, making the best of the content that we had acquired by making it very central to PMI. So if you read, for instance, PMBOK 8 draft version, which is currently open for consultation and comments, we have a whole process where the whole community is commenting, and then we take this into account. You will see DA very central, very much everywhere, as an approach to choose your way of working, right? So in project management, Agile is choosing an Agile way of working is absolutely part of project management. For certain type of projects, you would do that. Now, if you build something that requires more planification, maybe a little less iteration, or some phases that require less of that, or some components of a project that require less of that, then you might not apply Agile in the same way, or not at all Agile, by the way, and be more predictive. But it's very important for any project professional to understand all these approaches and philosophies. So we want to make the best of the content we had acquired through DA by having the choose your way of working. So basically, how do you pick the right approach depending on the context of a project, making it very central to PMI. And we've been doing that. We have been also, and my second objective was to make sure that we would address inconsistencies that were confusing for the profession. For instance, the lack of clarity in our Agile certifications. We have we called certifications the DA ones. We had ACP, so it was confusing. Our products were sometimes it was not clear. Our portfolio of products was not very clear. The product naming was not very clear. And there was even a confusion between a learning product. So basically you take a course, right? And a professional certification, which has very different characteristics at PMI. So we clarified that. We made some changes in the portfolio of DA. As Lenka mentioned, we reinvested in making PMI SCP better with a new version, a critical clear course, a standard. And that absolutely reflects DA. And of course, as you know, ACP, our certification in Agile, is basically based on the collaboration we had with the Agile Alliance for many years.
Thanks a lot. So I'm very happy about that ACP process development, because as you said, we were confusing about, okay, PMI ACP we have, but do I need to, I took maybe more than 100 times, to be honest. Do I need to take PMI ACP or Discipline Agile? So choose your way. You are saying, I'm saying, okay, you go both. But now it's very
There's
clear.
one professional certification that is PMI ACP. We have a few that are purely DA, like DA value stream consultant, you know, that kind of things. The rest of DA is an approach, and we have courses to teach you the base of how you choose your way of working. Even in the name of the product, we call DASM Scrum. That's not a Scrum training, right? So we removed that as well.
That is great. So I asked some questions about the feature of DA2, but I want to go back to Brian. So Brian, from your perspective, maybe from the Agile Alliance perspective, so you are joining to PMI family, we can say that. So how you will be sure this collaboration will be effective for Agile Alliance when you look at the Discipline Agile PMOGA perspective, because there were different product family and PMI integrated with AI. So you are seeing very huge product family and you are integrating to this family. So what do you think about that and how it will be effective from Agile Alliance perspective?
Let me go back a little bit and talk about who we are. Just so, and I'm reading some of the questions, and I think that a little bit of a history of the Agile Alliance could be helpful before I go on and I answer the rest of that question. Agile Alliance was formed with the intent of being the big tent in the Agile world. We do not have a process. We do not have practices, certifications, courses. The purpose that Agile Alliance was created for was to hold the space for people that wanted to come explore, learn, and practice the Agile ways of working. So while we maintain our conference and our membership and our newsletters and all the different kinds of ways of outreach that we have, we are completely agnostic as far as any Agile processes or any Agile methods people use. So from that point of view, the certifications PMI has, the courses, the processes, we will help and support people using them, but they're just part of the Agile big tent to us. And that's actually a very important part of who we are, because it allows us to have the one conference where there are people from multiple processes and practices, methodologies, all coming to the same place to interact, talk, and learn from each other. That's a very key part of who we are. So as we're moving into a closer relationship with PMI, we're going to maintain the big tent way of thinking, but we definitely want to learn more about the Agile practices and the Agile methods, and the ways that you're helping people learn about those, and help however as much as we can. But we definitely stay out of the business of preferring any one of the processes over the rest. Aaron, did that answer you?
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Also, it was very helpful because you introduced us the Agile Alliance, so it helped us to understand your vision and to connect this collaboration. Thanks a lot, Brian. So I want to continue with certification process because I'm seeing on chat area lots of people are asking some questions about certifications. So Lenka, ready for the second certification question. So with this merger with Agile Alliance, should we expect change or new addition to PMI certification to better align with Agile mindset?
Yeah, so I think I will first address the first part of that question, and that's the part about the merger. So, and Brian just said that again. This is not a merger per se, because Agile Alliance remains a separate entity. This is really a strategic partnership, integration, getting closer and collaborating together even more than before. And on purpose, I say more than before, because I'm not sure how many people out there know that we collaborated with Agile Alliance as PMI on the Agile Practice Guide, and that Agile Practice Guide is then represented in PMI ACP certification, which leads me back to the second half of the question: should we expect new certifications? So the answer is no, because we already have PMI ACP that is based on the content that was created together with Agile Alliance, and that's an agnostic certification. It's also not about a particular method or practice. Then we also have a lot of Agile content, mindset, way of working in our other existing certifications, such as CAPM, which is a certification for professionals which are at the beginning of their career, but also in the PMP, which is one of our largest certification for project professionals. Then other of our professional certifications, such as PFMP, they are also agnostic, and they apply for anyone who's working in an environment which requires either delivery via projects or delivery via Agile teams. So I would say that from that standpoint, a lot of Agile content, principles, mindset is already incorporated in our certification portfolio, and we do not plan any more certifications.
That is good and very clear answer. Thanks, Lenka. So I said you have 3 or 4 minutes, so we are answering to all of these questions very fast. And I think we have 25 more minutes, and you can answer long. So we have maybe.
Bait me, Aaron. You don't know me. This is gonna be one. No, but we also want to take some of the questions of the audience, right? So we have people who post questions in the chat. So I think it would be good. We keep the.
I want to take one of them. We can go with incremental. So we said 4 minutes. Now we can go 6 minutes for each question.
Excellent.
Okay, so I like this question, Mario. Thank you. Thanks a lot. So what impact do you think this alliance will have to evolution of the PMBOK and Agile Practice Guide? So will they more be closely integrated, or we will see creation of the new joint framework? So I don't want to, let's say, to start new framework because we have lots of frameworks. So what do you think about that? Who wants to take this question firstly? I can
take it if you want, Brian. I mean, I can answer too, but
yeah, can I answer? Just try to answer briefly, and then please feel free to build up on that. So I think there is one principle that is worth explaining, and that is that the content of our practice guides and also the content of PMBOK is actually driven by our community. And that's very important, because it means that as the approach to project management profession is evolving, this is then being reflected in documents and standards and practice guides such as PMBOK and Agile Practice Guide. And the fact that these principles are included in existing PMBOK or in the Agile Practice Guide, that only speaks to the fact that the community is evolving. There's no, as we called it at the beginning, traditional project management. And there is a big or is a very significant recognition of the importance for project professionals to understand different practices and work in the continuum of practices. So then back to the second part of the question, because that Agile practice guide was actually already created in collaboration between PMI and Agile Alliance, then as another practice guide, it will be revisited after some point of time, again, with the community of subject matter experts from that are out there, together with volunteers, and I would say with volunteers from both communities. And if there's an evolution, that will be reflection of what is needed for project professionals to be successful in their jobs.
You know, PMBOK is a guide that our problem has always been to try not to add more and more and more pages, right? So because it becomes completely unmanageable. So we had this moment, I think, with PMBOK 6, where we reached 800 pages. PMBOK 7 went back to, I don't know, something like 270, 300 pages. And now the 8 again is growing, it's close to 500 pages. So it is let's say the Bible, if you will, that encompasses everything, all principles. And then we have specialized practice guides. So we have a specialized practice guide on AI. We have a specialized practice guide on PMOs that is coming out now. And we have a specialized practice guide in Agile, which is the Agile practice guide, right? So, but of course, the PMBOK includes all of this, not with as many details, of course, but it includes all of that in its approach. So the idea that there is PMBOK is predictive, Agile practice guide is agile or is adaptive, it's completely wrong, right? If you read PMBOK, it covers all of this and then refers to other specific guides or specialized guides for certain topics.
Thanks a lot, Pierre. So do you want to answer this question, Brian, or we can go to the next one?
I'm definitely not an expert on the PMBOK. Definitely not.
You should read it, Brian.
I actually have. I did some talks for the PMI in St. Louis in 2002 to 2003, and I read it then. I'm sure it's changed a little bit since then.
PMBOK 2, maybe. No, it's very different today, and I encourage you to actually take a look. I see that some people in the chat actually did make some wrong statements about it, but at least you read it, which is great. Thank you.
So I'm going to the next one. So I will change this question a bit. So Agile Alliance and PMI, Agile Practice Guide and ACP certification. So any plans to improve the leadership domain as it has potential to be enhanced? So what do you think about the leadership domain? So sometimes we are talking about, let's say, the project leaders, PMPs, but sometimes we are talking about the more higher level, portfolio level, sometimes maybe the executive level. So what do you think about that process? PMP, I know it's helping to leaders, but do you have any plan about this leadership domain? Who wants to go?
So I think there's different aspect, I think, to the question. So there is a leadership domain in the PMI tenets and guides and standards. Every time we update one of our guides, there is the opportunity for the community to contribute to that, exactly like we are doing right now in this period of open consultation of the draft of PMBOK 8. If you're talking about how do we engage the senior leadership in companies, so decision makers, people making decisions about projects, investing in projects, organizing their own companies, that is a very good point. And even project sponsors, that's a very good point. And indeed, at PMI, we are currently thinking much harder about the way we can engage all these stakeholders and make them part, at least an adjacent community within the PMI community, the people who are not project professionals themselves, but have a huge influence on project management. The PMOs have helped, of course, but they are still project professionals, right? So how do we engage the business side? The C-suite is indeed a very important topic for PMI, and if we do that, it will benefit all the components of PMI, including Agile Alliance.
I definitely agree with that. That's one of the things at our conferences we've been talking about for a long time is how to reach up to that level. And I think collaboration on that topic could provide something very valuable to us both.
Yeah, the C-suite doesn't care about methodologies. They don't even understand what that is.
They just want outcomes.
Yeah, if you talk to a CEO and say, do you want your company to be agile? Everybody will say yes. Every CEO feels, I want my company to be more agile.
Right.
Then if you tell them, but do you want no plan, no accountability, no, they will say absolutely not, right? So they don't know themselves what it means. How do you do this well? If you think of agility, of agile in a broader way than the methodologies like Scrum, things that develop, things that they're not interested in. If you think about corporate agility, industry agility, what does it mean, and what principles can be applied on a corporate level or even on an industry level, they will be interested in that.
Thanks a lot, Pierre. So we have very interesting question. So the question is about, is PMI considering changing its name to represent what its organization is evolving to? I like this question because the people is saying, okay, PMI is evolving. PMI is always evolving. We know that. So I think the question is showing us this more clear. Value Delivery Institute, Project Value Institute, or others. But before to answer this, I had an idea. I don't know, Lenka, I think I shared this with you. P means project or product. Lots of people are talking about different ideas. PMI, Project Product Management Institute. So what do you think about this naming or this type of namings?
So I will leave it to Pierre to answer, because this is not the first time when we have that on the table, because it's not only project and product, it's also project, program, portfolio. Now you have product teams, but the truth is that you can have agile teams that are not necessarily delivering a product in a way that someone would understand it. We have agile teams that actually work in Kanban, and so they are answering some requests and not necessarily, again, delivering or developing a software product, etc. So there's so much diversity in the ways how, and I would say, an initiative can be delivered, a value can be created. And it's honestly very difficult to find even a single name for all of that. And then I will hand it over to Pierre to talk about the name change, because Pierre, are we going to change our name?
So the PMI brand has multiple problems, right? First, the trigram, right? PMI. When I say I'm the CEO of PMI, people like, okay, you're in this cigarette business, right? So no, that's another PMI. Then at the board, we've discussed many times that every single word, project management, and institute in itself is not completely reflective of what we're doing. So in the end, we are a strong brand, very well known, with a strong reputation. We feel, at least at this point, that changing that brand would be a distraction, and we should more focus on project success, on what it takes to create the conditions of successful projects in terms of culture, in terms of leadership, in terms of a vision that you have for projects, transformation, and also making sure that the community, the profession, is adjusting to the big changes that are coming with AI, with the transformation of the knowledge economy. All of that is more important for us than spending a lot of time and money in trying to change our brand. At least this is our position today. And in the end, Microsoft was a dying brand, and it's now like a very hype brand. You can always do the right things, and then it's going to help your brand. At least we're a well-known brand, and so not enough, by the way. We could do better. So at this point, we have decided not to change. And you're right, Lenka said it, P can be anything, project, program, portfolio, product, but it doesn't even really matter at this point. We're focused on project success.
Thanks a lot for this clear answer.
Go ahead,
Brian.
Aaron. Aaron, there was a question from Jim Highsmith, one of the very big names in the Agile world, and I'd like to address that one if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I got the question. Yes.
That's it. Yeah, so I think that's one of the very interesting ways that this partnership will evolve. I'm probably not telling any secrets here, but the PMI and the Agile world historically haven't been terribly close, although we've gotten closer lately with the Agile practice guide and things like that. But when I first started in the Agile world in 2000 or so, the reputation, the name of PMI in the Agile world was not something people wanted to hear, and that has definitely changed over the years. But I think something that would really help our membership understand and appreciate what the PMI brings and what the PMI offerings bring would be for us to get a better picture of the kinds of culture and the kind of mindset that the PMI has now. So arranging opportunities for our members to speak to each other, have conversations, learn together. I think one way of drawing the Agile Alliance and PMI closer would be for us to understand jointly what each other's mindsets are and the way each other's culture works. That's a very big ask and probably a long-term project, but to really cement the relationship, I think that's a very important task for us to look at.
Yeah, I personally believe that the Agile mindset, even if originally it was focused on software development, but that mindset, that philosophy has actually had an incredibly positive impact way beyond software development. And we're not even at the end of that. Of course, it has to be, the philosophy remains maybe the same, or some of the philosophy remains the same. And of course, how you apply that when you build a dam, when you transform a company, you make an acquisition. Of course, you can't do Scrum, right? Because that doesn't make any sense, at least for the non-software part of it. But some of the principles and even methodologies of Agile, think of an MVP, for instance. An MVP has been used increasingly as a concept to transform the aerospace industry in the US, right? So many of these tenets and principles and cultural transformations that Agile has been able to bring, I feel it is completely our role at PMI to make sure that this is given even more visibility and reach than it has in the past. But again, PMI does not need to be convinced about the value of Agile, because it's been a long time that it's been embraced, in fact, and as one of the options and one of the, it's not just a methodology, but also a philosophy that is very useful in multiple areas. Now, of course, you would always find some people in the project management community who are stuck in their ways of predictive project management, don't really believe in anything else. But for the most part, I would say 95% of project professionals agree that Agile has brought a lot to the world. And I think many CEOs and C-suite, if they understood it better, would also agree with it.
And Aaron, if I may just add to that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just to demonstrate that when it comes to understanding the mindset, actually inside PMI, our own teams that are supported by our own employees who are project managers and also Agile coaches and Scrum Masters. So our teams work in an environment when we have our enterprise portfolio of initiatives. Roughly 50% of them are delivered by projects or programs. Then 50% is delivered by our Agile teams that are supported by our Scrum Masters. We have our PI planning process, which is a quarterly alignment process when we align the work between projects and Agile teams and all of that. Our EPMO team, our internal enterprise program management office, is supporting all of these teams. And for instance, we have a rule inside our EPMO team that everyone is actually trained, and a lot of them also certified, on both project management practices, Agile practices. And we did that so that we help our own teams to better understand each other and understand how they can work and integrate their projects, initiatives, Agile teams together. And we see that it's working really just fine.
Thanks a lot, Lenka. So I want to ask one question to you. As I know we discussed about this topic last week. So TMO, and sometimes you are mentioning TMO, Transformation Management Office. So what do you think about this TMO concept, and it will bring more agility, or how will it combine with Agile Alliance? What do you think about that topic?
The question to me, TMO?
Yes, TMO. Yeah, I think sometimes you are mentioning this TMO. I think, yeah, if you share more info about that TMO, so it will help us.
So if it's a question about PMI, TMO,
Ye- Exactly.
yeah, yeah. So we have our transformation management office, TMO team, that is working in a very close collaboration with our EPMO office. Our TMO is more operating on the portfolio level and a lot on the change management level. We have there two members who are experts on culture and intercultural relationships, and they are amazing help in forming, shaping our culture. But I recognize that I think this is a little bit off topic for the discussion about PMI and Agile Alliance. So I will park it here. But
Okay.
if you want to understand more how we work inside PMI, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a message. I'm very happy to explain.
Thanks a lot. So I have one more question to you, Pierre. So we have last 7 minutes. I have 2 or 3 more questions. So question coming from Emra. What is the next for the forest of PMI transformation as it continues to grow and evolve? So what is waiting us?
Yeah, again, PMI's transformation is driven by our broader vision for project work and project professionals. And project success, right? PMI is principles based. It is not methodology based. For some reason, people sometimes, and I've seen that when we made the announcement of the Agile Alliance joining PMI, some people would compare PMI and Scrum. This is I can understand why, but it's absolutely not how we see the world, right? PMI is principle based. We do encourage people to learn. Any project professional need to understand Agile, right? And it need to understand Agile methodologies, especially if they work in IT or technology or software development. So we do encourage people to take certifications with Scrum, Scrum certifications with SAFe. They need to understand all of that. PMI is principle-based. It is above all of that. It is supposed to equip you with the knowledge and understanding to help you adjust the way a project is managed or organized depending on the specific circumstance of a project. So we have this broader vision for the profession and for our various content platforms that includes things like AI, of course, Agile, agility, corporate agility, industry agility, sustainability, what the PMOs and XMOs, transformation management offices are doing, social impact, interactions with product management as well. We think there is about 60% of overlap between product management and what we do in project work. And in the end, it's about transforming. It's an endeavor that aims at transforming something, creating something. So product management is in fact a subset of our broadened vision of what is project work. So we want to bring this vision to life, which we believe will help increase project success, by encouraging diversity of approaches, diversity of ideas, diversity of cultures, and of course, we want to make sure that the best practices that exist will be quicker shared between the different components of our community, between the different subsets of our community of people who are basically managing transformations. That's what we want. We feel that we can nurture that set of sub communities and content and make sure that we elevate our profession that way. And it's very important to future-proof it. I mentioned that before, but at the moment when all jobs in the knowledge economy are completely disrupted by AI and will be completely disrupted by AI in the next 5 years, it is very important that we broaden our vision and we equip our profession to think that way, as opposed to go back to very old little conflicts between chapels and different approaches and stuff like that, which I think is really not what industries need these days. And that's not how we will make the profession successful. We'll make it successful by increasing the success rate of projects.
Thanks a lot, Pierre. So you mentioned AI a lot, and I want to ask a question about AI to Brian. So Brian, how do you see AI playing a role in advancing agile practices, and how will Agile Alliance contribute to this innovation under the PMI's umbrella.
And how long do I have to answer this question?
If it's okay for all of you, we have last 5 minutes, but yeah, you can answer in 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
Is okay for us, and then
All right.
I will give you one time to bowl all of you to take your last comments.
This is actually a topic I'm very interested in and excited in, and the Agile Alliance has been seeking out speakers, and we just had what we call Tech Talk that Andrew Park gave for us a couple weeks ago about this very topic. And I've spent the last week writing a utility in Python where I didn't write a single line of code. It was a really interesting experience. I was using one of the large language models. I told it what I wanted and how to add what new features I wanted it to add for me, and what tests to write for me. And I maintained the code. It maintained the thought process and what kind of code to write. It was written in a very test driven way, and I got to where I wanted very, very quickly, and I did all of it, like I said, without me writing a single line of code. It was the most interesting experience in software development that I have ever had. I think Pierre is exactly right that AI is going to disrupt so many roles and professions over the next few years, because it has the ability to help you shortcut a lot of the issues and a lot of the problems that might come up, because it can reply to your questions with this wealth of knowledge gained from the rest of the world. And I really do think that the people practicing Agile, whether they're testers, developers, coaches, leaders, I think all of them are going to find out that many of the problems that they've had in the past, many of the things that they've spent lots of time working on, trying to solve, trying to learn, by crafting the right questions, the large language models can give them answers that they can look at and evaluate and then use. I think that it's not that it's going to eliminate jobs and it's going to change jobs. I think it's going to end up raising up people, because a lot of the kind of lower level work and lower level thinking that we've had to do in the past, these large language models can do for us, and we can spend more time at the higher levels thinking about more complex topics, more interesting things, and be able to solve larger problems in less time. And I think that's one of the things that the Agile world is going to have to adapt to even more quickly. I know Jim Highsmith, for instance, has been thinking about this and has been in a number of places for a long time. And I also understand PMI has been thinking about this for a long time also. One of the things I'd like to see is I'd like to see a joint research project between the Agile Alliance and PMI to really focus on this and focus how the different Agile roles will change. I think one of the things that excites me about this partnership is that with the additional reach and with the additional funding at some point, from PMI, we have the ability, we have the time, and we have the right point in time to make a substantial contribution back to the Agile world about how AI is actually going to change things for the better.
Thanks a lot, Brian. So I have the last question. So I think I'm very appreciative to attending to me, because lots of people, as I said beginning of this webinar, were asking about lots of questions, and I'm very happy you answered all of them, and you are very brave because you are coming here and you are answering all of these questions. So Thanks a lot for that, firstly. And I want to take your last comments about this collaboration. What is waiting us? What is your final thoughts about this collaboration? So, what we need to think about the feature of this collaboration. So maybe each of you 1 minute, and I want to finish with you, Pierre. So if it's okay for you, you will got the ball last.
So I can start, and then Brian can
Okay.
Pierre. So
Okay.
I am excited about this collaboration, and mostly because I operated in project world, in agile world, in mixed worlds, like in all of that. And I really truly believe that it should not matter to us if we work with this way of working, that way of working, because after all, it's really about the value that we create at the end, but not only the value that we create for our CEOs and organizations and stuff, is also about us, how we feel to be part of our teams and the way we work together. And I think that Agile definitely contributed to there a lot, and push a lot for culture change and empowerment and cross-functional teams and end-to-end views and all of that. So I'm really excited that we are getting even closer together, and I hope that this will benefit both of our communities. We will also hopefully debunk some of the misconceptions about project management or Agile.
Thanks a lot, Lenka. Before to give you the ball, Brian, I want to ask our attendees too, because when we finish the session, the comments will stay in there. So I'm waiting your comments into comment area. What do you think about this collaboration, and what is your thoughts after this session? It helped you, and if it's helped you, how it can help you better. And if you have any more questions, so I can take all of these questions. Maybe we can share article to answer these questions. So yeah, we are waiting your questions and your thoughts too. Brian, we are on you.
The question one more time. The
The
prompt.
question: what is your final thoughts and your final, let's say, yeah, final thoughts about this collaboration?
I'm very excited about it. That we've been looking for a partner for a little while, and the thing that excites me about the partnership that we have now is that during our conversations, it was said more than once that the world is a better place with the Agile Alliance than without it. That's a very positive thing for us to hear from a partner. We're very excited about working with PMI. We're excited about learning more about them, learning more about their people, talking to the leaders of the initiatives they have. And using a lot of the reach that PMI has into the upper levels of companies and around the world to help us spread our message. That's a very exciting thing to us. We have several thousand members, and when we have tens of thousands of people in our community around the world, and we would love to work with PMI to enable us to reach out to them.
Thanks a lot, Brian. And Pierre, I think we are waiting your answer.
You know, I first of all, I want to reiterate that we're very happy, very excited to welcome the Agile community at PMI. We think you can bring a ton to continue to develop the knowledge, understanding of agility, of Agile frameworks, and influence the way the broader community of people managing, running transformations and projects, transforming the world, how they think, how they work. So you have a lot to bring to the broader community. And I think we hope that the PMI strength, our size, our global reach, our flywheel, if you will, our relationship with corporations, governments, with educational institutions, the academia worldwide, and our very granular presence on the ground in over 200 countries is going to help diffuse your principles even more, and make Agile Alliance even more successful, and hopefully you as a community also more successful, providing you with more career opportunities more jobs, and the ability to also adjust to all the transformations that we're seeing now with AI.
Thanks a lot, Pierre. So the comments are coming and it will continue. And I'm very appreciative about to attending this webinar. So thanks a lot, our attendees, and to you to answer my questions. So I think lots of good things will come after this collaboration. And I'm very excited about this too. So do you have any comments, or we can finish in there too?
I think we're already 8 minutes past the time.
Exactly.
I know we're being agile, but I do have another meeting that started 8 minutes ago to join.
Thanks a lot to attending me, and see you soon again. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.